Welcome to the Real Estate Network. Today we have Stephanie Wess with us. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and dive into your real estate history, how you started, maybe touch base on, how you started with the podcast and getting in that way. I think that was really neat.
Yeah, for sure. So, funny story. I never thought I was going to become a realtor. I had a friend that I have never met in real life who lives in a whole different state. And we were doing a mastermind, like a spiritual growth mastermind together. And I knew she was a realtor, but I never really thought about it because I thought, oh, it's so salesy. But I heard her on a podcast episode, and the way she described real estate of, this is such a gift to help people find their first home. It really hit me in that moment. I'm like, wow, she's right. You help them through this really big emotional process. And then that was it. Something sparked in me. And the next day I Googled how to become a realtor. And the rest of history, basically. I didn't think about it, because I think when it comes to real estate or anything, a career that's commission-based, that has a lot of risk, sometimes, people are scared for you. So I didn't tell many people that I was going to do it, and I just did it. Type of
Good
thing.
for you.
Like I signed up for the class and stuff.
Stuck to your guns. Saw it through.
Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes, I didn't want to talk myself out of it or think about too many of the risk. It was like, do I want to try this? Let's go for it. And it all started with the podcast.
How amazing.
Yeah, I know.
So after your classes, what were the next steps you took? And how did you go about things to get to where you are now?
Yeah. So first of all, this career started as a part-time. Like my goal was just to earn like $10,000 a year, which is really funny now, because that never happened in my first year. So I started with a really, really big team. I knew that I needed some mentorship and support because obviously I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember, having my goals, and everybody would make fun of me because the goal was to, shop at Whole Foods and be like $10,000 a year because they thought that goal was too small for me. Yeah. And it was, but when you're starting, you don't know what to expect. And
it's good you set like realistic expectations though, because sometimes people, I feel like they set them way out of reach, right? And so I think that was very wise of you at the same time.
Yeah, I think for me, I wanted to transition out of being a stay-at-home mom and kind of see how I can find my place in the work, area. And so I started with the team, and I learned, and I did a lot of open houses. I had people help me, with contracts, and then I just slowly but surely started, walking on my own.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, so what made you, how you said you joined a team, other than the mentorship and things like that, were there any deciding factors that you feel like you could share with agents that may be contemplating if a team is a good fit for them?
For sure. So for me, mentorship was one. Second was, am I going to have any kind of leads being provided to me? I did not grow up in Pittsburgh, nor had a huge network.
That's huge.
Number three was kind of support was I getting aside from leads, aside from mentorship? Was I having a transaction coordinator in the back end helping me, or at least overseeing the transaction? And also culture. Culture was important. And I think it's probably the biggest most important aspect, because you can have all of the other things meet your criteria, but if the culture's not right, then you're not going to get anywhere with what you're trying to achieve.
You are who you surround yourself with.
Yes, exactly. And I knew that if the team was not providing a decent culture, or everyone was too negative, or it was just not going to work out. So I think you have to ask yourself, who do I want to surround myself with? What are they providing to me? And am I learning? And I think those are the three main things that you have to keep in mind.
That's definitely beneficial for an agent who's contemplating. So within your real estate career, when you started the team, where did you see, your growth, where it started taking off by joining the team?
So the first year, it really took off for me. It was 2020. So 2020 was chaotic for all of us in a good way. I think, at first it felt a little bit overwhelming because there was a lot of transaction. I was a new agent, but I think it started at the end of my first year. I started to really feel more comfortable and confident on really dealing with certain things in the contract. If I had any pushback or any kind of negotiation process. Up to this day, I truly feel like I am still learning because real estate is ever changing. And, when I had a difficult transaction, I think it was always helpful to at least have a team member or team leader say, hey, can you please look at this with me before I have a counter or a negotiation process?
Right. Absolutely. And for you as a mother being in real estate, what are some tips you could give to agents that are also mothers and maybe starting out in the business, just some things to, keep in the back of their mind as they're operating day to day?
I think number one, you got to embrace motherhood.
Yes.
I think at the beginning of my career, I felt a little bit held back by motherhood, but I think it was because of my way my mindset was. I wanted to do a lot and maybe kind of separate that identity of realtor / mother being a mom. I think number one, embrace that. Number two, ask for help and know that your clients, your team members, people that are surrounding you most likely are going to help you, whether it's covering you for showing that you feel you can't take your kids yet. But I have noticed that a lot of the times clients don't care if I need to take my kids with me. They are very understanding, and a lot of them are families themselves, so they do understand. But I think the most important part is say like, okay, how can I involve my kids in this career and in this lifestyle? Because it is not a 9 to 5. We all know that we don't end our day at 5 or 8 p.m. sometimes. And I do try to involve them and let them understand why I'm doing something. And I notice that has been super helpful for us as a family to say like, yeah, mommy has to do XYZ because she's helping, a family find their perfect home for them and their kids. And then I notice that they do get a little bit more excited because they understand the motive behind it instead of mom has to work again.
Right. And also sharing about the clients or the house features, just make it exciting.
Yes. And then I do help have them stuff envelopes with me from time to time and really say like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I think it's a beautiful process because you're also showing them some ethics, some responsibility in a very small manner.
Right.
And in this day society, I think we need that for this generation. But the biggest tip, I think, just incorporate your kids with your lifestyle and with your career. And some clients have really said like, oh, I chose you off of social media because you are a mom, you like dogs, and you ride a Peloton. That's it.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think when you are a mom and you showcase a little bit
and you show who truly you are.
Who you are, and I'm not going to be the right person for someone that hates kids. And that's fine. That's just fine. I'm okay with that. So yeah, just embrace the motherhood aspect of it for sure.
I love how you said, you said something that I feel like we probably do the same. How you said, bring the kids when it's appropriate, or
yes.
I have like a rule kind of I go by. Like the first showing, like if I'm ever meeting a client or it's like a certain point, I'm like, no, like I need help. I need to do this, that. But once I get to know the clients, right, then they're okay with it. And it's like, because then you have that established relationship with your client. You've made that connection. And once they respect you, they're open, to the kids or whatever needs to be done because they want to work with you.
Exactly. And I think you're right. First showing, probably not. Second showing, probably not. By the third, if I'm in a pinch and they really want to see a house, I will show up with the kids. And they are always very receptive. They love the kids love them. And a lot of my clients have become also some friends. So it's been really amazing to watch that transition as well.
That's great. Yeah. And I feel like clients, they also get into it a little bit when the kids are there. Yes. Oh, do you like this? Yes. What do you think? And it's really cute and it's fun for everybody.
It is funny until my son's like, I do not like this house.
I know. Don't ruin the sale.
Why are we buying this house? But no, it's all fun. And I think, embracing the motherhood aspect instead of being so separate. Because I think there was a tiny bit of resentment at my first year of like wanting to really fly off without incorporating my children. But once I decided like, this is who I am, this is my branding, this is my business, and this is my life, I think something really shifted. And the moments that I'm not working that I could spend with them, I think are appreciated more for me as well.
Absolutely. So. And I feel like the kids too, how you mentioned, which is so true, is incorporating them with it. And I feel by incorporating them, even though it is a lifestyle, it's important to find the balance, right?
For sure.
It's just how you're mentioning, like when you're not working, it's okay, we're going to make time to do this. We're going to, we're going to go out to eat here. We're going to make this special memory here,
for sure.
And just constantly, it's a constant juggle, but a beautiful juggle.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think real estate has a lot of flexibility, and there are days that are hard and juggling, but at the end of the day, I get to take my kids to school every day, and I get to pick them up every day. And to me, is pretty amazing. Or I get to be able to participate in their school sometimes if they have a volunteer opportunity because of the flexibility. So
I love that. Yeah,
those are the times that I'm like, yes, real estate is hard sometimes. And there's times I have to be on the phone at 9:30 p.m., but I'm at my house with my kids on the phone. So I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. No,
until one day I'll find balance, which I think it's so unrealistic. It's a lie. Nobody has balance. Yeah. It's a lie.
Yeah. I think and I think it's fun though to have, the type of lifestyle, right? Yes. It's fun because you just don't know what tomorrow brings.
Exactly.
You really don't, right? And that is so true. That resonates with me too, how you said, you get to drive them to school, you get to pick them up. And there's been times like where I do because the kids will, we have a showing, we have to do this later. Cause I do tell them like, hey, so, after school, we have to go to this house. I'm just giving you a heads up, kind of like do the run through, just like they're like part of the crew.
I know.
Like the assistants.
This is what we're doing today. I know.
But they'll go, oh, Mom, but I'm like, but again, but I'm able to take you to school. We're able to do this. We're able to do that. And you can't, there's a lot of, parents that they have to, somebody else has to take the kids.
Yes.
They have to go to daycare. They have to do these things where we take on, a little bit, we take on, the juggling, if you will, or, finding the routines, but it's all worth it.
I agree. I think it's worth it. And I think it's just about changing that mindset and really looking at the highlights of why we're doing this.
Right.
And I think for me, it does get very surreal. And I get the sense of so much joy in the moments of I wake up at 6, I'm doing my lunches for the kids, and then they off to school, and I get to go about my day. And I could not imagine if I was working, if I had to be somewhere like at 6:30 a.m., like an actual physical job somewhere. It just would be really tough for me. So
let's talk a little bit about the Joe Yost Team.
Yes.
So if you want to share, some things that you guys do that you feel would help, beneficial tips, and then also, some accomplishments your team has had recently.
Yeah, so our team is a very small team, and I do love the fact that we're small because then we kind of could keep each other accountable. Aside from the team members, we have a team leader, and we also have an operations manager that I think is super helpful, especially for people like myself, who are really good at contracts at the beginning, like my first offer, my listings, selling, but I'm not the best in the back end once things start. So we do have the benefit of that it's super helpful, where she keeps everything on track. One thing that I noticed it's helpful about our team is the fact that we are smaller and that we can keep each other accountable. And we do a lot of,
very true,
business planning. So right now we're probably starting to get, understand, okay, where we want to be, not only as a team, but individually. But I think one thing I do love about the team and our team leader, our goals are our goals. If we want to have a small goal for this year, then that's fine. If we want to have a big goal for the following year, then that's fine too. But there are expectations, but it's still our business in that sense. In terms of learning, I think it's a process, and it always will be, right? Because real estate is always ever changing. And the more transactions we do as a team, the more we learn. And we try to really share everything in the sense of a learning experience, whether it's a small one or a big one. And I think we all like each other. So that's really nice.
That's very important, for sure.
Yeah, we really like each other. I think there isn't any drama and when there's no drama and where we can all focus and kind of do our own thing. But yet, if we need help or assistance,
You have the support.
we have the support. And where deals have been really difficult, because we do have those, our team leader doesn't hesitate to step in right away.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then throughout the past couple of years, what would you say for the team, like some big milestones that you guys had?
I think aside from transaction and volume, I think we are all trying to grow, but not only grow as a team, but also individually. And I think really getting that branding clear for us has been a really big milestone. We all have different assets that we bring in, like Joe is our team leader. I think he is very good at contracts, understanding, talking to people. And then we have Brendan, who's another team lead has been in their team for a little bit and has more experience. He has a more younger perspective because he is a little bit younger and dealing with a lot of clients that are in the city area. Then you have me, who's bilingual and who's a mother. And I think we all can learn a little bit of each other. But I think next year is going to be where we really hit it off in terms of volume. I think this year has been interesting for all of us.
Oh, yes. And it's been building. Yeah.
So
applying and getting ready.
Exactly. So I think now we understand how the market is shifting. And that's the thing we are really good about, keeping each other in terms of like regulated, because a lot of people are freaking out during this time.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, okay, this is where we're at. What is that we need to do? Because last year, a few years, it's not the same. We actually have to lead generate differently. We have to prospect differently. And we're here to pivot. And while it's a little bit scary for us to pivot and really have this, honest talk about the market, we're excited because I think we know how to put in the work.
Right.
So I think we know that only certain agents are going to survive in this market. And we're ready.
Yeah.
So.
These times filter out the ones that that's what, me and my business partner, she shared with me, and just over the years, these times always filter out the ones that need to go. And the ones that are supposed to stay will stay.
Exactly. And our team leader actually was in the mortgage business back in 2008. So he knows what it's like to be against, the wall and come out of that. So I think
it makes you stronger at the end of the day.
Exactly. So I am excited. We kind of know what we need to do. We have to, because it's been easy in the past 4 years. And this is going to be my 5th year. And as I said, my first year, I felt like, for being my first year, I think I did 12 transactions, 13 transactions.
That's great.
That is crazy, right? Compared to my little goal that I wanted to have of like $10,000 a year. So I think now, we have to do things a little bit different, maybe put a little bit more effort, give more value and more information for the people that are looking for us to help them with their home.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, so I think it would be really neat to dive into something that's so unique about you, is how you are bilingual and how, you apply that to real estate and how you apply it to your business.
So I am still trying to conquer a little bit more of that market. I have helped a few clients that speak Spanish. It's not a lot. And I think it has been mostly out of just exposing myself more. A lot of my clients that speak Spanish are not first generation Hispanics or Latin community. They're normally like second generation. In an ideal world, I would love to help the first generation because I know how difficult the language barrier can be. And it's something that I am still trying to navigate as we come as 2024 on how I can implement that to my business.
I guess you can say, I was kind of raised in the real estate. Parents are immigrants. My entire family is, immigrants. They came over here from Syria. My grandfather and my great uncles, something drew them to real estate. I don't know what it was. They started buying property, and then it just kind of passed down generation to generation. Aunts, uncles, my family migrated here. They started in Oakland, and then the next thing you know, they start buying property.
Wow.
And it just kind of blew up from there. So as a young kid, I was born in Oakland. I remember you can walk within 3 minutes any direction, you're going to be at someone's house, a relative.
That's pretty neat.
It was pretty neat. It still was like that. And I would say, honestly, between my aunts and uncles and cousins and relatives, they probably own 300 units in Oakland.
For you being a mother too, how we touch base on the kids and how you apply it to your life. I mean, I'm sure you're a huge inspiration to them in their daily life as well.
Mm-hmm.
And do they ever, share like, Mom, this is, just the inspiration you give them and the things, I'm sure it uplifts them immensely, everything you're accomplishing within a short period of time.
Oh, thank you. Definitely. Mindset is very big in my
Mm-hmm.
household, and it's very big for me. For those who are really close friends, they know I'm always thinking and questioning big life's purposes, which is fun sometimes. I see a lot in my kids from business and the way their mindset is. There's been times that my daughter, for the longest time, did not like me selling homes. She thought it was a boring job. And I think it's just because she didn't understand it.
Right.
She just didn't understand why I was doing it, because I was gone maybe in unconventional times. And I think she had a hard time. Okay, my mom is not like a 9-to-5 job. She's leaving at 5:30. And then we had a talk. And then one day she's like, you know what, Mom? Maybe I'm going to sell houses like you. I feel like you make money. And I thought that was so funny. Yeah. But I said, like, well, if that's what you want, while my kids are 8 and 5, we have these conversations to help them elevate at this age, to help them think.
Adult conversations.
Yes.
But in a different perspective, right?
Different perspective. And I said, you can totally do that.
Fantastic.
If that's what you choose. You can do whatever you please. And yes, you're right. I think, income, brackets are important if that's what we want to look at. And yeah, she's 8. She's probably going to change her mind again. But one thing we do talk about in our household, it's about mindset, that the way we speak is the way things come true. And I think I try my best to have my language meet what I want. So when I'm being negative, my daughter will call me out. She'll be like, Mom, remember, if you say something, it's going to come true. So I tell her, oh, I'm not going to do well. If she says, I'm not going to do well on the test, I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. Why are you saying that? And where's this coming from? And it's just so small awareness. But I think in real estate, mindset is very important. And I think that has trickled down to them and their mindset. And I hope that in 5-10 years, they will really look back and be like, wow, my mom was very aware of what she wanted, where she was going. And while they may be small right now, I think when they do grow up, they'll be very proud to see that, yes, my mom was a present mother, but she also went for what she wanted. Yeah. And
it's giving them a great foundation.
Yeah. And was, a hard worker, was ethical about things. And I hope that it gives them the inspiration to do the same for their life, no matter how scary or how unconventional it is. And I think that is where I was, because before real estate, I didn't see myself in any other career. I am a college dropout. So
me too.
I feel like that's such a common thing amongst us. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? And it was not because it was a second option per se. I think for me, I love the idea to say, like, how much can I earn this year? Do I want to add $10,000 to, my salary? Then you could do that. And I'm like, I'm charismatic for the most part. So sales would be great for me.
And when you were in college, if we spoke on that too, what made you just, I'm out of here? Do you have like a moment? I personally had a moment where I had great grades. I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was similar, but it was almost like if you're entrepreneur driven and you have good mindsets, like you're speaking on, I feel like that's it takes a certain personality to really soar in this industry.
100%.
And I truly believe it's those people that have those certain characteristics and personality and qualities that really gravitate towards this and excel.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I never really knew what I wanted to do as a kid. I had ideas, right? As any kid would. I just hated school. I was not a good student. I was never a straight A student. I was like a B on a good year, C-ish student. I just felt like it was boring to me. Now, during college, I actually have all my pre-nursing things, which it went to waste, right? Microbiology went to waste. That was a hard class, by the way, for me. I actually, once I had all of that, I actually got pregnant with my daughter. And that is where I'm like, I'm not going to do this. There's no way. I already hated it to begin with. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, being pregnant and being a mom and trying to go to school was just not going to work because my drive and my motivation was not there. I think I chose nursing because I loved kids. So I was probably going to try to be a pediatric nurse. But I'm like, it pays okay. Why not? And in my family, I also feel college was very important because they associated that with success. And we all know that's not the case. Right. But I think for me, it was like, okay, I got to figure something out. And I did sell little things here and there while I was a mom at home. And then, as I said, it was just that podcast that really changed my life and changed everything,
So amazing that one little door can open, something so big.
Yeah. And I did message her and I told her that. And I think sometimes we just don't know.
Don't know your past.
We don't know who we're inspiring. And I think it's a beautiful thing, while social media is good and bad, but the way she said it, something clicked. And I'm like, just going to do it. And I don't think I'll ever go back to school unless I really, really had to, but most likely not.
No, I think you're on the right path.
Yeah. Unless it's like we have to do our updates for our certifications. That's about it.
Yeah. Right.
Anything else, I have never been into school ever since I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to know. And that's great to share because there's all types of people. And I feel that is just a common thing. If you feel something's not meant for you, go do something else, try something else because you just don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah. And I think it's hard, especially for the younger ones in their early 20s. There's so much social pressure. And while I think we are getting out of that slowly but surely, there's a lot of pressure out there to be something that, maybe you're not. But absolutely, I think you should try and at least okay, this was for me or this wasn't for me. And I rather fall on my face multiple times than know I tried. That's how I see it. Yeah. When I'm old and 95,
so you tried it.
I tried it. And I'm like, check, I did it. It didn't work out. Good. Yep. So for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that very much. And I completely agree with you. It is so important to just try something and just take the risk, see what happens because you truly don't know where that could lead.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that for me, real estate was a catalyst to create the life that I want, right? Because obviously being a college dropout, I think the most I have ever earned in the past was $12 an hour. And for me, it is surreal. And while it is hard, I'm not going to say it's not hard. I mean, I get to live a very nice life and I can decide and I can okay, what am I doing next year? And obviously I'm smart with everything, but I think that if you want to do something, just try it. It may just change your life. And I think the problem, there's a quote that says, the only way you can fail is if
That's all good.
I want to try to be like
we'll do the blooper. That'd be good.
Oh, I have so many bloopers on the videos I do. There's so many bloopers.
You're doing great though. You're on point. You are on point.
Okay. There's this beautiful quote that it states, and I don't know who said it. I'm gonna probably chop it all up. The only way to fail is if you quit. And I really like that because I think unless you have maxed out all of the options and exhaust all of the plans, then there's no really failure. And I think when I think about failure, it's just an experience to learn, a time to lean in and say, okay, let's take a step back. What could I learn from this and how I could do better?
Right. And within every experience, there's something you can apply to what's next.
Exactly.
There's always something that comes out of every situation and every opportunity. It may not be exactly what you want, but there's something that you're going to take away from that you can apply to your journey and what's next.
Absolutely. Totally agree on that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else we want to touch base on here because we're doing a real good, I feel like we hit a lot of the major points. Is there anything you personally want to share with the audience who's listening that you feel that you personally, other than the points we've touched upon, that would be great to give to them some input?
Let me Let me think. What would I tell baby agent Steph?
Yeah. I mean, that's really,
Um,
someone who's just starting out.
yeah. I am very into mindset and manifestation for those who know me in real life, who are close to me. So I try to find expanders. And when I say expanders, is people that I look up to, whether it's in real estate or in life in general, that have the life I want. So this could be other agents. This could be other people in business. And some of them, I actually do reach out to them and say, like, I really like your content, or I really, love the way you run business. And I try to learn from them. I think when it comes to real estate, I have never had a bad experience. Everyone that I have asked a question to how to be successful, get more listings, do whatever it is, they always tell you. There's no hiding. There's no secret sauce. They say like, oh, this is what I do. This is what I have done. This is what has helped me. This is what has worked for me. And I think it's really beautiful and also humbling for everyone that we are that open. When someone comes to me and asks me, I want to be a realtor, I will tell them the truth, the good and the bad and the ugly, but also the amazing parts of it. Mm-hmm. And when I'm looking at expanders, sometimes it could be someone that does video very well. That is maybe an agent that I have never met in real life, but I follow them on social media. Or it could be a local agent who's doing twice as volume as me, who's a mom, and those people that are running their life in a way that I see that I would like to do the same or inspire me, I really try to have a few. And I make them as realistic in my own way, and I feel inspired by them. And yes, do I not know them fully? I don't, but I do look up to them and say, okay, this was her trajectory. She got from point A to point B in this time. Mm-hmm. And 99.9% of the time, if you ask someone a question on how they became successful, they will tell you.
Yes.
And I think the problem with us is that we're looking for some secret magic sauce that doesn't exist.
No. Yeah.
It's very small little things over time that make you successful, and success always leaves clues. So I would get expanders if I was a new agent. And as I said, just to have that inspiration of what you're consuming also on a daily basis from social media or just, your thoughts. So
I love that. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Steph. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.